What if the aloe vera sitting on your shelf right now is carrying a secret it has never been allowed to show you? Most people have owned an aloe vera for years, some for decades, and the plant just sits there, green, alive, barely changing month after month. You water it, you give it light, it survives. That is all it does, survives. This was my aloe 18 months ago, pale, slow, doing absolutely nothing interesting. The kind of plant you stop noticing. This is the same plant now. The difference is not a product, it is not a fertilizer, it is understanding. Once you understand what aloe vera is actually built to do, you cannot go back to the guesswork that kept it quiet for so long. The conventional advice has been keeping your aloe politely alive. Today, we go past that entirely. We are covering 20 secrets, ranked from genuinely useful to the kind of thing that makes you look at this plant differently forever. Stay through number 15 because that one addresses the silent mistake that is happening right now in most homes that grow aloe. And number 20 is the method that predates every gardening book ever written, and it still outperforms everything that came after it. Subscribe. New plant videos every week. We do not recycle the standard advice. Let us get into it.
Number 1. The drainage equation nobody finishes. Everyone tells you aloe vera needs good drainage. That part is right, but the advice almost always stops there. And stopping there is exactly where the problem begins. Good drainage is not just about putting holes in the bottom of a pot. It is about what happens inside the soil column, between the moment water enters at the top and the moment it exits at the bottom. Most commercial cactus soils slow that journey down more than aloe can tolerate. They are blended to retain enough moisture for a wide range of drought-tolerant plants, which means they retain too much moisture for aloe specifically. Aloe vera's root system evolved in substrates that are closer to gravel than to soil. Rocky, mineral-heavy ground across the Arabian Peninsula, the Canary Islands, and the arid edges of North Africa. Ground that sheds water almost violently. Ground where roots dry out within hours of rain, not within days. To replicate that, the mix needs to be at least half inorganic material. Coarse perlite, pumice, horticultural grit, or decomposed granite. Not a sprinkle mixed in. Half. The kind of ratio that makes standard gardeners uncomfortable because it looks too harsh to grow anything. That discomfort is the signal that you are getting close to what aloe actually wants. When the drainage equation is complete, the whole plant changes. Roots stop spending energy fending off moisture damage. They start spending energy growing. Everything above the soil follows. Think of it as unlocking the first gate. Nothing else on this list works fully until this one is in place.
Number 2. The container conversation. The pot you choose is not a passive decision. It is an active participant in how your aloe grows. And for most people, it is working against the plant without anyone realizing it. Plastic pots are efficient and lightweight and perfectly fine for a wide range of plants. Aloe vera is not in that range. Plastic holds moisture against the root zone in a way that conflicts with everything aloe's biology is designed around. The walls do not breathe. The soil inside stays wet longer than it should. The root zone gets the kind of extended dampness that triggers defensive responses in the plant instead of growth responses. Terracotta is not a trend or an aesthetic preference. It is a functional tool. The walls are porous. Moisture migrates through them continuously, even between waterings. The root environment dries faster. The cycle that aloe evolved to thrive inside, deep saturation followed by genuine aridity, becomes achievable in a container for the first time. Unglazed terracotta specifically. Glazed ceramic defeats the purpose entirely. The glaze seals the porosity that makes the material valuable. An unglazed terracotta pot of the right size, paired with the right mix, is doing active work for your aloe every single day. This was not an accident of history. Aloe cultivation across North Africa and the wider Mediterranean world used unglazed clay vessels for centuries before anyone thought to use anything else. The material was chosen for exactly the reason it still works. It mimics the rocky ground the plant came from in a way nothing else does. Think of it as choosing a container that grows the plant, not just holds it.
Number 3. Why a smaller pot grows a larger plant. This is the secret that produces the most skepticism. Say it to most plant owners and they push back immediately. More space means more room to grow. That logic makes intuitive sense. For aloe vera, it is backwards. Desert plants did not evolve with abundant resources. They evolved in scarcity. When aloe roots encounter open, unoccupied soil around them, the plant interprets that as a signal to expand its root system to fill it. That is where the energy goes, down and outward, not up, not into the leaves, not into new growth from the center, into root expansion that produces little visible result for months. Meanwhile, all that unoccupied soil is holding moisture the plant is not drawing on yet. Extra moisture around roots that are not actively using it is a rot risk. The pot that seemed generous has now created 2 problems simultaneously. In a snug pot, roots reach the walls quickly. The plant shifts its resource allocation. It is already at the edges. Root expansion is no longer the priority. Leaf production increases. New offsets emerge from the base. The center of the plant pushes upward with genuine momentum. 1 to 2 inches wider than the current root ball. That is the target. It should look slightly too small. That slight pressure is intentional. It is the productive constraint that triggers the growth mode a spacious pot never reaches. Traditional aloe cultivation across Mediterranean regions kept plants crowded deliberately. Multiple plants per container, pots that looked absurdly small for what was inside them. The growers were not cutting corners. They were applying knowledge. Think of it as giving the plant a reason to push upward instead of just spreading sideways.
Number 4. The watering mistake that hides inside good intentions. Scheduled watering is the single most common reason aloe vera performs below its potential in home environments. Not because watering is bad, because the schedule replaces something the plant actually needs, which is signal-based watering. In its natural habitat, aloe vera does not receive predictable rainfall. It receives irregular, unpredictable events. Weeks of nothing, then a single heavy downpour that saturates the ground to depth, then weeks of nothing again. The root system is built around that oscillation. The water storage cells inside the leaves, the gel, the firm, plump, dense leaf texture that makes aloe recognizable, that entire system is calibrated to the deep saturation and total dry cycle, not to regular, moderate moisture. When you water every 2 weeks on a schedule, you are delivering moderate moisture consistently. The plant never fully saturates, it never fully dries. The cycle that triggers the full expression of its water storage biology never completes. The leaves stay thinner than they should. Growth slows to maintenance pace. The soak and abandon approach replaces a schedule with a physical cue. Water until it runs freely from the drainage hole, then leave it. Do not check it for days. When you do check, lift the pot. If it still feels heavy with retained moisture, leave it. When it feels noticeably light and the soil is dry all the way to the bottom, that is the signal to water again. In summer, that might be every 10 to 14 days. In winter, it might be once every 5 or 6 weeks. The calendar is irrelevant. The plant's actual state is the only metric. Think of it as learning the plant's language instead of teaching the plant yours. Part 1 is complete. The next part, link is below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for the next part. Tell us in the comments how you like this video. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.